Riot's decision to create a high elo server in the Chinese region is one of the best decisions that Riot could ever make. And I think this will increase the skill level of the LPL as a whole exponentially. And I think it'll bring up their level even to Korea in terms of mechanics and things like that. Just because the skill discrepancy is going to be smaller amongst the players themselves. I mean, you have a minimum requirement of D1 being the entry to this server, so it's already going to be a very high skill floor. And this is going to have like a centrifugal effect upon the whole competition, meaning that if your competition is better, that makes you better as well. And we could see this evident with people talking about LCK bottom tier teams always being able to compete with other regions' top tier teams. And that means that the top tier teams of the LCK have to be even that much better. So that's why that they always dominate every single international event. So it's very similar to that effect, and I think it's just going to exponentially increase the solo queue players' prowess, and also this top rank of this server is going to be so prestigious, and it's going to be an excellent scouting opportunity for these teams. I mean, if I were a coach and an analyst or something, I would just look at the top 10 players of that specific server, and I would just be like, okay, well, whoever these guys are that aren't on a team, go ahead and bring them in, because we're going to give them an automatic tryout because they're just so damn good. And speaking of which, all these people on this server, I don't think there's going to be room for one-trick ponies to exist, because I just don't think that they could thrive on this server going to a very high level, because it's going to be mostly pros on this server. So the whole competition is going to be higher. You're probably going to get your champ banned anyways because everyone knows you. So it's just going to be a fierce competition and really good practice for these pros. And this can only work in China, though, because of their crazy population. I mean, you have 1.37 billion people in China versus, say, like the United States only has 321 million. So you can already see, like, 4 times the population. It's not even possible in the United States because of just the player base. And also, with this server, it's gonna solve the queue times, the long queue times. I mean, we've seen like streams of I'm a cutie pie or I will dominate, and how they're in queue for 30-40 minutes. So they're spending about half their time in queue and then half the time actually playing the game. So this is going to cut down on the practice time for these pros, so that they could get in either more scrims or even more rest time, which is going to be super crucial, and it's going to maximize and make their practice just way more efficient. So that is super excellent. And speaking of which, though, the news on the franchising of the LPL and how they're going to have kind of a geolocation of teams. Being close to this server is going to be super important for ping. So anyone doing this geolocalization and figuring out where they want to go, I think a big factor in where you should go should be dependent on how close are you to this server. And also, of course, sponsorships to different cities. Certain cities are gonna be able to have more outreach to other population because they just have a bigger population. So that's always going to come into a bigger factor rather than the ping to this server. But the ping to this server should be definitely on that list. And my last point is I think China is going to be the new hub for everyone to go to for boot camping. It just makes the most sense, because if it already has all the solo queue talent that aren't pro players that are playing on this server, you're not going to get matched with like a platinum player randomly when you're playing solo queue on this server. So if all the teams aggregate over to this region and play on this server, it's going to be even more influx of high elo players. and Riot can just automatically give them an ID into this server because they're a pro player, and then they can play with, you know, the best people in the world all together in the same place. So I think this, as a choice by Riot, is an excellent move, and it's going to increase the skill level of the LPL. And I can't wait to see what solo queue talent also comes out from this server. So I'm very excited, and I'm very proud of Riot.